Have you ever asked yourself the thing people still call love? Could it in fact be nothing more than the fear of loneliness dressed up as romance? How many relationships out there are not born from deep connection at all, but simply two people running together from the silence inside the Stoics, warned thousands of years ago? The chains we choose for ourselves are the hardest to break. And among those chains, the one called fear of being alone may be the heaviest. People rush to grab the wrong hand, not because it is strong, but because they cannot bear to stand in silence. They choose attachment instead of standing tall. And the result? They call it love, but to an awake mind, it is nothing but a compromise with fear. But if you are brave enough to stand alone, the story changes. Being alone is not failure. Being alone is freedom, is time, is energy, is the chance to build a solid foundation before sharing your life with anyone. It is in solitude that you forge the strength others never find. This is Victory Stoic. Here you will find the cold and honest perspective why choosing solitude might be the wisest decision of your life. If you have ever gone through lonely days or rushed into the wrong relationship, share your experience below with the keyword Stoic alone. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss future videos, because every week I'll share perspectives that can turn the entire direction of your life. And one more thing, stay until the end, because the final point I'll share is something most people never realize yet. It is the key to transforming solitude into strength. Let's begin. 1. Avoid clinging to the wrong person. Perhaps the greatest tragedy for many is not loneliness itself, but choosing the wrong companion just to cover it. They grasp at a stranger's hand like a drowning man clutches a brittle branch, not because it is strong, but because they fear there is nothing else to hold. But a brittle branch not only fails to save it, drags them under faster. Solitude is the shield that protects you from that mistake. When you are no longer trembling before silence, you are not pushed by fear into grabbing at false support. You are clear-eyed enough to see red flags from the start, the lies in their words, the selfishness in their acts, the toxic energy they spread. Things the lonely often pretend not to notice. The Stoic reminder, do not let what is outside your control take control of what is within. A wrong person is outside your control. You cannot change their essence, but you can choose not to let them in and pollute your life. In solitude, you keep clarity. You do not trade your peace for a few moments of counterfeit warmth. And from that ground, if one day true love does arrive, you will recognize it, not because you are lacking, but because you are choosing. 2. Growing stronger through solitude. People fear solitude because they confuse it with weakness. But the truth is, the opposite solitude is the gym of the mind. There, you do not lift iron, you lift silence. You do not train muscle, you train endurance of the spirit. And every time you survive another night alone, you forge another layer of steel in your will. In noise, you can be swept away. In silence, you are forced to face yourself. The hard questions, the old wounds, the fears you've run from, they surface. If you dare to sit, to look, you learn how to heal, to recover, to rise on your own. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "He who seeks peace within himself will never truly be alone." That peace does not come from others, but from the courage to sit in silence without trembling. See every moment alone as a training session. You enter it uneasy, you leave it stronger. The more sessions, the bigger the mental muscle. And when life throws you into hardship, you do not break because you have already trained endurance in silence long ago. Solitude does not make you weak. Solitude is where you become the strongest version of yourself. 3. Emotional independence. Here's a harsh truth: many live like puppets of their phone. A text arrives, they're happy. No text, they collapse. a cold look, their whole day falls apart. When your mood is dictated by others, you've handed them the key to your life. That is the very chain the Stoics always warned of. Alone, you learn the opposite. You learn to soothe yourself after a bad day instead of waiting for validation from a cheap phrase. You learn to self-motivate to rise from failure without waiting for another hand to pull you up. And most of all, you learn to set your own worth. Marcus Aurelius reminded, "Your value is determined by the quality of your thoughts, not by who texted you, not by whose face frowned at you, only by the way you converse with yourself." Emotional independence does not mean you don't need anyone. It means you are not dependent on anyone to know your worth. You can love, you can connect, but you do not shatter when those things leave. You remain whole because your foundation is already secure. And only when you reach emotional independence can love, if it comes, be truly pure. Not love that fills a hole, but love between two already whole people. 4. Becoming full before sharing. Most tragedies in love begin with a hole that was never filled. People think that holding someone's hand will cover the emptiness inside. But the emptiness doesn't vanish. It is only temporarily hidden by the other's presence. And when that covering slips, you see the lack again, sometimes even bigger than before. Stoicism never teaches us to find fullness outside. It insists the wise man is the one who is sufficient unto himself. When you know you are already enough, you no longer love to fill a void, but love to share an overflow. That is the difference between demanding love and free love. Solitude is the school where you become full. You learn to sit in silence and still feel peace. You learn to gift yourself a quality morning, a good cup of coffee, a page of a book without needing anyone's approval. You learn to stand before a mirror, not searching for flaws, but seeing someone who is growing day by day. When you self-direct, self-build, self-discipline, you slowly realize you already have. You have health to train. You have a mind to learn. You have time to build. You have calm to enjoy. And when you have all of this, you no longer tremble at the thought of being alone. You know you are full. So if one day love knocks you open, not because you need, but because you choose. That is the difference of the full man. He does not cling in panic. He stands tall, looks straight, and only invites someone in if they make the light already present shine brighter. Imagine you are a cup. If you are empty, you will crave for someone to pour into you, and you'll end up accepting any liquid, even poison. But if you are already full, you only overflow with the best. Others come, they drink with you, they add joy, but no one has the right to define your value. Marcus Aurelius once reminded, our happiness depends on the quality of our thoughts. If your thoughts are full, your life will be full. When you are enough inside, external love is no longer a life raft, but a reward. No longer a painkiller, but a fine wine that adds flavor to the feast of life. Being alone is not a curse. It is the chance to build that fullness. And from that fullness, you will step into love with freedom, without fear of loss, without performance, without dependence. You do not love because you lack. You love because you want. And that love, when it arrives, will be more beautiful than anything born from fear. 5. Protect your energy from toxicity. In Greek mythology, there is a monster named Empusa. It doesn't kill instantly. It drains energy little by little until the victim is exhausted without understanding why they've withered. Toxic relationships in real life are the same. No knives, no swords, but every cold silence, every guilt trip, every meaningless drama is a small bite. Then one day you look in the mirror and see yourself hollowed out, not knowing how much of you the monster has already drained. Being alone is the shield that protects you from that creature. No more decoding covert psychological warfare. No more guessing whether the other person is sulking today or pretending not to care. No more spending an entire afternoon apologizing for a fault you didn't truly commit. You step out of the maze where every path leads to depletion and breathe the clean air of quiet. The Stoic reminder: whatever robs you of your peace, treat it as an enemy. Toxicity isn't only cruel acts. Toxicity is anything that repeatedly scrambles your mind. And a scrambled mind cannot do great work. Look at the greats. They did not build legacies amid endless quarrels. They built in stillness and focus, in an energetically clean environment. Alone, you recreate those conditions for yourself. Drama drains you. Toxicity hollows you out. But chosen solitude makes you stronger. That's when you raise your shield, stand tall, and let the monsters out there bite empty air. 6. True freedom. Epictetus said something we should carve into our hearts. No one is free who is not master of himself. Freedom is not how much money you have, how many assets, or how many people surround you. Freedom is when you are not chained by bad habits, by fear, and especially when you are not dependent on others to know you have worth. Being alone is the training ground for that freedom. When there is no relationship to cling to, you are forced to face yourself. You learn to ask, what do I want today? Where am I going? Am I living in line with my values? At first, those questions can feel shaky, but they are the very doors to release. In silence, you discover you can comfort yourself after a hard day. You can encourage yourself after failure. You can set goals and keep them without needing anyone's cheer. Then something marvelous happens. You feel lighter, clearer. You realize true freedom doesn't come from escaping other people, but from being steady enough not to be ruled by anyone. Picture solitude as a sunlit white room. At first, it seems empty, but as you stay, you realize that emptiness is space to breathe. Create, recover. You lay a rug, set a table, hang a painting, and the room becomes yours, bearing your imprint. That is freedom. Not an outer expanse, but the authorship to arrange your inner world. Alone, you choose who gets to enter your life. You choose work that nourishes your spirit, not just pays bills. You choose friends who build with you, not just break with you. You choose a rhythm that makes you stronger rather than spent. Those small choices added together become a clear life, no debts, no pretense. The light of true freedom does not glare. It is gentle and warm like morning sun through a window. It does not shout, but it heals. It lets you feel at ease, alone and calm, even in a crowd, because you know your roots are anchored in self-mastery. Once you've trained that freedom, love, if it comes, feels entirely different. You do not love out of fear or lack. You love to share the abundance in your heart. And that love, pure and steady, no longer threatens your freedom, but blooms alongside it. True freedom is not a distant dream. It is here in each lucid choice you make today. And solitude is the golden chance to practice. When you have mastered yourself, nothing out there can chain you anymore. 7. Learn to love your own company. Be honest. When was the last time you sat alone without touching your phone, without music, without finding something to fill the space? For many, silence is a dark room full of ghosts. They must turn on the noise outside so they don't hear the echo within. The Stoic is different. He treats that quiet as the place where the soul can breathe. Alone is when you discover you are not as boring as you think. You realize you can laugh at your own silly thought, find delight in learning something new, or simply enjoy an afternoon with no interruptions. Once you begin to like your own company, the outer world loses its excessive power over you. Epictetus reminded, if you want to be free, learn to be content with yourself. Loving your own company does not mean rejecting connection. It means not depending on it. You don't need someone else's gaze to confirm you are alive. You don't need applause to feel valuable. The more you understand and enjoy being with yourself, the less you crave attention from outside. And the paradox is, that's precisely when you become more attractive to others. People are drawn to steadiness, to the light that radiates from someone who no longer chases anyone else's light. Being alone is not a sentence. It is a course that teaches you to be your own best friend. And once you've learned that, you'll realize you were never truly lonely. 8. Escape the trap of seeking approval. Face a harsh truth: most people live like actors on an invisible stage. They wear masks on the street, at the office, among friends. They bend their words, trim their actions, compress their feelings, just to trade for a few approving looks. But the applause rises and fades, the eyes shine and turn away. And there they sit again, exhausted, empty. This is the oldest trap, the trap of approval seeking. A sweet trap because it makes us feel loved and included. But a cruel trap too, because it sucks away our freedom and leaves us living for a silhouette others drew. The Stoics warned 2 millennia ago. Epictetus said, "If you want to please everyone, you have made yourself a slave to everyone." The one who lives to be liked will never truly know who he is. That is the grand tragedy, a life ending without ever having lived true. Solitude is when you step out of that prison. Without the fake stage lights, you stand in primal darkness and hear your own heartbeat. At first, you tremble, no audience to cheer. But then, you realize in darkness, you start to see. You discover your principles. You hear your true calling. You taste unadulterated freedom, the kind no one can give and no one can take. Then you understand praise is just a bonus. It is not oxygen. Real oxygen is the integrity you keep and the courage to live by your standards. If praise comes, you smile. If it doesn't, you still stand tall. Picture this: a warrior leaving the arena, no more roaring crowd, just him and the long road ahead. Yet each step thunders, each stride is stone solid. Because now the ropes of approval no longer tug him back. He walks not because anyone is watching, but because it is the path he chose. That is the austere beauty of escaping the approval trap. No noise, no need for spotlight, but freedom forever. 9. A 7-day mini plan, 20 minutes a day. The Stoics never believed in miracles happening overnight. They believed in small, repeated actions that create great transformation. Seneca once said, "It is not that life is short, but that we waste too much of it." The time you need to change yourself isn't hours. It can sometimes be just 20 minutes a day. For these 7 days, you will try a very simple plan. In the morning, spend 5 minutes writing down one mission statement for this month and 3 key actions for today. It might be, I will build stronger health, or I will complete a course, as long as it's specific. Write it down as if you're anchoring your entire day. During the day, there will be moments you want to seek validation or text someone just to escape loneliness. When that urge comes, pause for a breath and then choose your action again. Don't react by instinct, act by value. If you can do this pause 3 times a day, you have already started reclaiming self-mastery. Each day, take on one small, hard thing for 10 to 15 minutes. Read a few extra pages, do a short workout, write a small piece for a project you've been holding. It doesn't need to be a giant leap, just one brick placed right. At night before bed, sit for 3 minutes and write a 1-line Stoic journal. Answer 2 questions: where was I more self-disciplined today? And one thing I can praise myself for without waiting for anyone else to praise me. You'll see the difference when you become the first to recognize your own effort. Repeat this for 7 days, and you will notice you depend less on external approval. You control your time, your energy, and even your moods. You set clear boundaries, letting clean energy nourish what truly matters. Most importantly, you learn to love from fullness, not from lack. After 7 days, if you truly do it, you will see being alone is no longer a sentence. It becomes strength. it becomes the training ground of freedom. And from there, you walk into life not as someone looking to be filled, but as someone already full and ready to share. 10. A few things to remember. Some principles may look small, but if you truly hold on to them, they can shift the axis of your entire life. They are the core stones, the foundations the Stoics called unshakable. You may pass through storms, but if you keep these, you will never lose your way. First, time is worth more than shallow love. Time is the only asset you can never buy back. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it." How many people have handed over months of their lives to meaningless chatter, to dates meant only to kill time, or to relationships they knew from the start would lead nowhere? Each such hour is a piece of life lost forever. If you choose to guard your time for what truly matters, learning, building, recovering, or simply living by your values, you are richer than most of the world. Second, discipline matters more than inspiration. Inspiration is fickle. It comes like the wind and leaves just as fast. If you wait for inspiration to start, you may wait forever. The Stoics knew true freedom is not doing whatever you want, but being able to do what is right, even when you don't want to. Discipline is the bridge from idea to achievement. 1 page a day, 1 small workout, 1 consistent habit. These bring great results, while inspiration alone leaves only regret when it fades. Third, clear boundaries create clean energy. You cannot keep peace if you let anyone walk in and stir up your life. Every relationship, every conversation is an energy exchange. Some people give you strength, others drain you. If you don't set boundaries, you become prey to drama, false guilt, and exhausting psychological games. The Stoic teaching, whatever robs you of peace, treat it as an enemy. When you dare to say no, when you withdraw from toxicity, you protect the most precious thing, your focus and your inner strength. Fourth, love from fullness, not from lack. This may be the hardest principle, but it is the core. Many enter love like a thirsty man in a desert. They accept any drop of water, even a mirage. They love out of lack, out of fear, out of emptiness. And so they are dragged into cycles of exhaustion. But when you learn to stand strong alone, to feel that you are already enough, love, if it comes, will be entirely different. You love not to fill a void, but to share abundance. That is free love without chains. Marcus Aurelius reminded, "Your value depends on the quality of your thoughts. When your thoughts are full, your heart is full. And from there you love from surplus, not from lack." These may sound simple, but live them for 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, and you will see your life transform. You will find yourself less dependent, less frantic. You will see your peace no longer so easily stolen. And you will realize being alone is no longer a burden, but strength. Time is worth more than shallow love. Discipline is stronger than inspiration. Clear boundaries keep your energy clean. And true love blooms only when you are already enough. Hold these principles as 4 pillars. Whatever storms rage outside, you will not fall as long as you stand on this foundation. Conclusion. Now you see the truth: being alone is not failure, but the foundation of freedom. Fear makes people cling. Courage makes people stand tall. And only when you stand firm in yourself are you truly free. Not someone who lives to please, not someone who chases other people's eyes. A true Stoic is the one who keeps his center, has direction, and holds weight that no wind can carry away. Stoicism does not make you cold. It forges you into someone who controls himself so that you can be warmer, clearer, and stronger in every choice. Remember this image: you are like a rock standing in the river. The waters crash, the foam surges white, but the rock remains, unbroken, unworn. Everything trembles, but you hold firm. And here is the condition and the reward. If one day the right person appears, they will not pull you off your path. They will choose to step into the world you are building. If they don't, you remain whole. Comment below, Stoic free to affirm. You have understood the true strength of being alone. And share this video with a friend lost in hollow relationships so they too may see the door to freedom. This is Victory Stoic. Stand firm, live self-mastered, and I will see you in the next video.